mi gente, con una pasión.
You're listening to the Talking Shrimpers podcast, sponsored by Surgical Holdings.
Welcome to the Talking Shrimpers podcast, World Cup edition. I'm your host, Sensei Phil, and with us is the fabulous Finn, as always. And tonight we're going to hear from last season's FA Trophy winning players on just how far England can go. Probably not very far. And we're also joined by, I'm so happy to say, Southend United ex-Players Association Chairman Andy Leeder. Andy, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, all good. Bit hot here in Dorset, but we're getting by.
Yeah, it really is. Finn, how about you? What have you been up to?
Pretty much the same as Andy, really. Just boiling hot. Trying to stay out of the sun, really, because I don't tan, I burn. It's been a nice few days, really. Busy, but yeah, pretty hot. Very hot.
Yeah, it has been. Well, I've been at the tennis at Eastbourne for quite a few days. Had a nightmare start. So we travelled up Saturday morning, 8 a.m, and we got probably about an hour from Eastbourne, and then the gearbox went on the car. So we're literally on the side of the motorway for 4 hours waiting for the RAC. He couldn't fix it, so we had to tow us back to Essex. So another hour and a half journey on tow, and then we had to get my wife's car to come back to Eastbourne again. So another 2 hours. So it was a very long day. And it's, it's just been so hot down there. But yeah, listen, great tennis, really great tennis. But yeah, so hot on the South Coast. Needless to say, I've totally entered into the World Cup spirit and got myself a tartan army suntan, just like they have out in America. So, Finn, I know what you mean about the sun not liking your body. Yeah, fighting for the shade. It's been unbelievable, isn't it? It really has.
Yeah,
Crazy weather.
Did you see anybody good in the tennis who was playing?
Yeah, I've met Andy Murray a few times. Jack Draper I met a couple of times, and quite a few other sort of high-profile players. But yeah, brilliant few days. Always great down there. But yeah, listen, it can get on the centre court. It can get so hot. I mean, I watched it today, and there was a few people passing out. You've really got to make sure you take a lot of water. Get as much shade as you can. But yeah, brilliant tennis, but really hot this year. Really hot this year.
At least you had probably a better time than when you got there eventually than Chris Phillips, who of course ended up having all his stuff pinched. Terrible.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because Chris texted me a couple of hours, because we normally see each other up there, and he texted me a picture of, he got Andy Murray's autograph on the tennis ball. And then I texted him back when I got there, and I didn't hear anything more from him. And then I saw on Twitter a couple of hours ago, he said he had all his stuff stolen. So I was like, wow, what on earth's gone on there? So yeah, I'll catch up with Chris, find out what on earth happened when we can get hold of him. Obviously he's had to get a new laptop and phone, and yeah. So listen, if you got any information, please do help Chris. Yeah, awful thing for him to happen. Not the best. So, yeah, I probably had a better week than Chris, I have to say. But there you go. Yeah, listen, it's been a busy period for the club, certainly with a lot of players going out, one or two coming in, which I guess, Andy, with many players going out, you've probably been busy, haven't you, reaching out to a few?
Yes, yeah, we have. We've already signed up 2 or 3, picked up also Macaulay Bond from last year. We're now at 531 current alive members. I have to say alive because Wimbledon, for instance, count them even if they're passed on. But we still remain the world's largest male team ex-players group in the world, as far as I know. I did cut and paste out to Barcelona and Santos and other Bayern Munich, etc. They never replied, so we still claim the title. So.
Well, we've probably doubled that number the last month, haven't we?
Yeah, well, yeah, it always takes a while to reel a few people in. They need to, I suppose, get a bit of trust that you're not asking for their email address for odd reasons, and you need maybe 1 or 2 to pass the word on about what we do. But yeah, we usually end up taking most of them along with us, so that's good. And they're recent leavers, but in years to come they may I think, come to appreciate more about what SUEPA does and reconnecting people. And you never know. I mean, we've had one or two that have been in real need, which we've helped as well. So it's good to join. It's free, it's easy, and fans, club, and ex-players all love it.
Yeah, well, you do some great work, obviously. Well, since Finn, since our last podcast, we were waiting on just 2 more players to negotiate with contracts. Keenan has since been announced that he's moved on to Oldham, and it was announced today, I saw on Twitter, that Collins decided to move on. So it really is a clear out. But listen, 2 players that have come in, Darren Oldacker and Anthony Hartigan. 2 very, very good players to start with.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the kind of first 3 signings of Kieran Dyer's time at the club, I think they kind of set the tone for what's to come. And kind of, they're a good indication of a good signing of good things. You've got Josh Papula there, who obviously a young up-and-coming player who had a really, really good season last season in the South. And then the 2 that you mentioned there, Hartigan and Oldacker. Again, 2 really good players, a little bit different to Papula, both with a lot of experience, but when we're talking about experienced players, not old players. And to be honest, when I heard about Hartigan, his age, to be honest, I would have guessed he's in his 30s, the amount of experience he's got, but he's only 26. So to have that balance of being in the kind of best years of your career and really experienced, because obviously he picked up experience at Barnet, captaining him to a title. But also previously with Wimbledon as well. So they're 2 really good players. And to be honest, last season I did think one of our biggest issues personally, I thought, was probably the midfield. We spoke about it a lot on here, how they needed those kind of tough tackling players, set pieces now as well with those 2 sorted. I'm not sure who's going to take free kicks out of those 2 because I think they can both put one away, but we'll see. But yeah, I think they're really, really good signings, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing them. We just need about 8 to 10 more now. So I know Justin is obviously busy, and more really the director of football and Kieran. So yeah, it's going to be a busy couple of weeks or a month, I would imagine. Andy, tell us about the Pioneers. We've been hearing a lot about it. What is the Pioneers all about?
Okay, so we've just passed our 120th birthday as a club. So quite a milestone, and working with the club, we've got quite a few things planned. And one is looking back to what happened back in 1906. It was about this time last year, I put up a post on our Facebook page about the first soldier to pass away in World War I, who was an ex-footballer, which happened to be a Southend player, and asked if anybody could trace to see if they've got any current relatives. Now, a guy called Terry Hamlin put his hand up and said, "I'll have a go." But he found that all lines had closed, and it wasn't there. So there was no one there to actually trace. The whole family line had closed off. But we got speaking, and we said, well, there's another guy that appeared around the time of the club started, a guy called Harold House, who scored a phenomenal amount of goals. I mean, you think of Billy Best scored them by the shed load. Well, House did that and some. He scored 90 odd goals in the first season, if you count all reserve and friendly games that he played in. So we said, well, have a go at see what you can find out about him. So he did. He found traced current relatives all the way to Australia. We found where House was buried, just in Frinton in Essex, and got speaking to a few people, and we got in touch with her. It was lovely, and we built up quite a nice story about what happened to him, what he was like when he was a young lad, what happened to him with his business interests. And to have someone like that, I mean, probably had the most success that any Southend player has ever had. He went on to play in 3 FA Cup finals for 3 different teams, played for England international, won the league championship with Manchester United, played in some phenomenal games, played in the first game at Old Trafford that there ever was. So we thought, well, maybe there's a little bit more in this that we can have. And so, let's have a go at trying to trace the whole of the first ever team for the first season. There's 16 players who played at least one game in that first season. got involved Paul Fitzgerald, the ex-chair of the Shrimpers Trust, who I've written a book with previously, and Paul is superb at at narratives and making sure that the P's and Q's are in the right place. So Terry did the research, I wrote the stories, Paul tidied them up and also chipped in with some of the storytelling. And what we've got in the end, it took about 8 months, I suspect about 50 hours of work per player.
Wow.
We also looked at 4 of the non-playing staff. So Oliver Trigg, as the founder, had to be one, but there were some really interesting characters besides him. There were people like a guy called Norris, who was a trainer, and Norris used to run. He was a world champion long distance runner, and he used to go to East European countries where they didn't know about him, run and collect all the prizes and come back with shed loads of money, do odd things like race horses, thoroughbred horses over long distances. All these kind of interesting tales came out. So we when we initially started, we was wondering whether we would have enough for a book. We ended up with a bigger book than what we did last year for Roots and All with Fan Stories, and we've got some. Just got the proof copy in now. We've pressed the button on it. So we've got over 400 pages. We've got pictures we've collected from all the players. We've contacted living relatives for every single person. Which is fantastic. Some were quite surprised to hear about from someone from Southend out of the blue. Didn't even actually know that they'd had a relative that once played football. But the majority knew something. Some had collected memorabilia along the way. One, for instance, George Molyneux, who was our first captain and then became our manager. He had previously won England caps, played in the first Ibrox disaster. Which had to walk past the dead and then come back onto the pitch and play the game out. So we found out an awful lot there, but it was some of the smaller sort of bit part players. Guy called William Finn, who no one actually knew, but if you look through some of the sort of the war history from First World War, because all these guys went through it, those that survived to it.
Of course.
And some of that history has been well documented, but we found that William Finn, there was no mention of him, and he played a few games for Southend, and he actually passed away in the war, making sure that basically he was digging trenches and repairing stuff, and just died on the line in the last knock-ins of the war. So all quite sad. And there was, it had to be some hardship involved. Players those days weren't well paid, of course. They paid about £2 odd a week. Lots of them came from big families. The largest one was 16 siblings. The average was 9. So there's a lot of colour there involved in what happened to some of their relatives as well.
Yeah.
One guy had a lighthouse keeper as a brother who went and was mysteriously disappeared off the lighthouse off the coast of Scotland with his 2 other keepers, and that got made into a film in 2018. So there's all these odd little connections. There's some good fun and highlights, but there is quite a lot of difficult history that's been addressed from it. One guy we found, he'd came to Southend at the start of the 1906 season, stayed for a couple of years, was one of our older players, a guy called Ben Freeman, and didn't have too much family around. His wife gave birth to the 6th child and died, sadly, 4 days later. Now, Ben was, we believe, alone, without much income, without family, and ended up having to put up all of his children to adoption. 4 of them got put on a boat to Canada in 1912, and I thought, well, that sounds sort of familiar. 3 weeks before they did that route, the Titanic had sunk on the same route. So, not only was there the trauma of 4 young children going overseas to a strange place, but with the knowledge of what happened there, we managed to find those relatives, and they're extremely supportive of what we're doing, and they're thinking of coming over back to Southend. So not only will this book spawn off this whole exercise, we think, spawn off a book which is really it's for all fans. It's the common theme is being at Southend, but it's what they did at Manchester United, Gillingham, Walsall, wherever they were, and what they did as young people, what they did afterwards, and in terms of jobs. One even ended up in the lunatic asylum. There's the variety is incredible. But aside from the book, there will also be in September, working with Riley at the commercial department. We're going to have a celebration match. So when we got the fixtures finally out, I mean, the Football League fixtures were out today, weren't they? And it's so frustrating.
July the 10th, we got to wait.
Yeah, I know. Crazy. It's just why.
Same every year.
And it's so difficult to plan. But when those fixtures finally come out, we'll pick a match in September.
Brilliant.
Because it's 1st of September 1906 that we played our first ever competitive match in the Southern League against Swindon. So around that time, we will designate one of those home fixtures a celebration match of 1906. Invite all the living relatives along, and so we might well have some from Canada, some from Scotland, some from the back of Southend Hospital. They come from all over the place. Yeah. The guy that signed for Southend, the very first player, a guy called William Thompson, who was a fantastic captain. You think of loyal people like Frankie Banks to Southend. Well, William Thompson was the Frankie of his time. He was a lovely, good guy, and who stayed the course with the club. But his relatives we trace into Scotland. They want to come down. And so we'll get them to carry the ball onto the pitch and put it on the centre spot, flanked by all the other relatives, and we hope that the two teams. So that can be quite emotional. A good other thing to do with it is that you might have noticed on here the somewhat unique artwork we've got. So for all 20, we've got the 16 players on there. The guy in the suit's Bob Jack, whose son actually ended up playing for Bolton and scored the first goal in the FA Cup final. So lots of spin and managing Southend. But all of these players there and the non-players, we're getting oil paintings done by Keith Bird, who's becoming quite a well-known little artist in his own right, and has previously done paintings of Roots Hall, two of which are hanging up at the club. One's in reception. So Keith has kindly done pictures of that. So not only does it help the book, but we got agreed with Southend Museum next year to hold an exhibition at Southend Museum, which will be fantastic. Be the first time ever that the club has ever worked with the museum. So it seems amazing that that's never happened before. But so we're going to have a nice exhibition about that. And if you've got time, I'll tell you a little secret about another museum in a minute. But so well enthused about it.
Fantastic.
You asked me one question, and I
sounds amazing. 10 minutes. Yeah, I can listen to that all day. Incredible. I mean, some of the story, I can't wait. I mean, I've got to say I got the Roots and All book, which was a big success. Really enjoyed reading that, but this just sounds like another level. Some amazing things to come out of that for sure. Do tell us about museum.
Well, I would just say on the book, the Roots and All book on fan stories was lovely last year, and quite some emotional stuff came out of that. But this does kind of knock spots off of most things we've ever done before. The research that went into it, for one, Terry and Fitz were fantastic doing it, with lovely people to work with. It's been quite inspiring, and the stories, as I say, people will just be amazed about what we found out. So I do hope that when we get to meet the Blues Day, when we have some Blues to meet, then we will we'll be selling plenty. We've sold lots already as pre-subscribers, which has helped pay the cost of the book.
Is it the name of it? The Pioneers?
Yeah, well, it's the Southend United Pioneers.
Southend United Pioneers. And how can people get hold of a copy?
So we will have it on sale at the Shrimpers Trust stall on match days. We'll also be in the club shop, and I'll mention a bit about that in a second. We will also be selling it big time at Meet the Blues Day, which is coming up soon. And it's also available online. So if anyone thinks they can't quite easily get to Roots Hall or any of those events, then just go online to the Shrimpers Trust, click on the Super tab, you'll drop down to Pioneers and you go from there, and it's an easy purchase. And we've kept the price at, despite the cost of this book going up, because it's bigger and got lots of colour pictures in it as well, and black and white pictures. I've kept it at a nice easy £10. So it's extremely competitive, I would say. We could have charged a lot more.
Yeah.
But the profits from it, they don't all go in someone's pocket. They go into what we call the Super Fund, which is something that was set up about 18 months ago. And the idea of that fund is to put money aside for the ambition of a club museum. And the profits from this book go into that fund. Now, that fund's got a significant boost this year when we had the floodlight casing sale. And I took this, it was last August. I met Justin at Charlton's, just outside Charlton's ground at 11 o'clock on the Friday before the Truro game. I said, let's, trust me a bit. I will look after you from there for the next 24 hours. We'll go and see a few club museums. So we went into Charlton. He was overawed by what they had, made a generous donation to them. And we then went across London to Wimbledon Museum. They've got a fantastic facility there. They've recently had to revamp it because the ground got flooded, you might recall, 18 months ago. A lot of money was spent on doing a high-class job there. Well worth a visit if you ever get in the... But as is Charlton. And Charlton was impressive because it's been long established, their museum, but there were still people coming in as we were just offloading stuff onto the guys, stuff comes out of the woodwork, as it has done recently. If I get time, I'll talk about that. Then I took him back to where I live in Dorset, went for a meal, and then the following morning got up really early and went to Exeter Museum. And I think by that time he was either beaten up by it or well impressed by it all, and I think bought into the whole idea. But on the way, I heard... he was talking to Tom Lawrence at Detail, and one of the subjects was floodlights, and you replacing them all the lamps. Can we have a couple for a potential future club museum? Yeah, okay. What are you doing with the rest? Eventually found out they were going to be scrapped. So give me a little while, see what we can do, if we can have them. Yeah, okay. And within 5 hours of going online, all 88 had sold at £100 each.
Wow,
so
88 was it? Wow.
Yeah, well, we kept 3 or 4 back for the museum, but they all went pretty quickly.
Wow.
And they ended up being quite good pieces, and there's some quite inventive ways of what people have done with them.
Yeah.
But that money has all gone into the Super Fund, so that's thanks to the club in that they didn't charge us for it. We could use it for a history purpose, and the idea of the Super Fund is ultimately to fund the club museum. So there's going to be some fanfare about it, but we've got permission to go ahead, and I've had to break cover on it. So because we needed some volunteers to start the work on it. So we've got a space, we've got the funding, we've got memorabilia. We've got lots of ideas and sorting out some design, and we've now got a space at the club to do that. So I should probably keep stum on that for the moment, but by the time of the West Ham United friendly, people will know about it. Next week, work is going to start on Southend having a community based hub really for in terms of the museum. That not only, I think, it attracts those who have got a real interest in club history, but all kinds of fans come along to these things. Young kids get involved and see stuff that inspires them. You can forever change it and refresh it as well. We'll build it into the Legacy Numbers project, which with the club we started at the Players Awards evening. So a countdown from William Thompson in 1906 to Spazov, with being the 1,302nd Southend player to play in the first team. We're going to be doing have a big feature on legacy numbers in that museum space, which will be quite fascinating. Yeah. We've got a replica trophy of one of our previous cups made up that we've never had before, adding to, of course, the FA trophy.
Yeah.
So lots of things, and memorabilia just turns up from all walks. I've had over the last couple of years since sort of putting out word on this, gradually, stuff being delivered or given to me, and others. And just this week, we've had up on eBay, one renowned collector of Southend memorabilia, who always keeps an eye out on eBay, saw that this guy who had done a house clearance in Brighton had found the original drawings of Roots Hall in 1950 odd, put on eBay. So he quickly snapped them up for posterity, so we can have sort of kind of use of them, or at least images of them. So that's quite unique. But also the new lady at Southend is in charge of ops, Kath Honey. She dug out from somewhere, I'm not yet to find out exactly where, a 1906 receipts book.
Right.
So you can see what Oliver Trigg's expenses were, etc.
Yeah.
So and stuff does come out with I've had boots from the 1930s, but once we start this, then it will roll. And I've learned from Exeter, Charlton, etc. So it will be a highly dynamic thing.
What a project! What a project! Looking forward to it. Incredible work. But congratulations. Keep going to work. And as I said, if you want to get your copy of the book, Andy's already said, various ways you can get hold of that. But yeah, really looking forward to that, and obviously all the work you're doing. Let's get on to some World Cup. We're going to start with just recap on a few groups that have kind of finished now. So starting with Group A, Finn, winners Mexico, runners-up South Africa, didn't predict that one. Korea, third, 3 points, and Czech. Now, as it stands, Mexico will play Scotland in the next round. South Africa will play Canada, and Korea will play Egypt. Obviously, not confirmed. Have you been surprised by South Africa there, Finn?
Yeah, I think so, particularly after kind of the first game. And I know a 2-0 loss to Mexico at Mexico's ground, it's not necessarily a major kind of defeat, but I think, the red card, and I don't really think South Africa looked very good in the game at all, to be honest. So for them to come back and get a win, and a draw, beating South Korea, I was really surprised by that. I mean, I think probably...
I was.
The thing I'm most surprised about is probably the fact that South Korea aren't second, because, just looking at it before...
Well, that's what we said, wasn't it?
That would have been nailed on for me. It's the magic of the World Cup, but... Mexico being top, that doesn't surprise me. I think they've looked really impressive.
Yeah, well, Alexa will be very happy with that, won't she? They've had a clean sweep in that group.
Yeah, and to get 3 wins out of 3 to be honest, I don't really think it's even that easy of a group for them, to be honest. I know it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have a big hitter like a Spain or a France in there, but across the board, Czech, South Korea, and South Africa have done well as well. To get 3 wins out of that, I think is really impressive for them, and they're going to be a tough team to face. I think for any side, particularly if it's at their ground. I think they're going to be a nightmare to face.
Yeah, they will be. Well, England could be playing them at some point. Group B, they finished their game, so Switzerland won that group. I think we predicted that. Canada second, Bosnia third on 4 points, and Qatar are obviously out. So as it stands, Switzerland will play Algeria, Canada will play South Africa, and Bosnia will play the USA if that all goes to plan. So all those 3, obviously with the number of teams finishing third, will go through. And Group C, we got this one spot on. So Brazil winners, Morocco runners-up, Scotland third on 3 points, and Haiti are out. Now, as it stands, Brazil will play Japan. That will be quite tasty. Morocco play Netherlands. Again, that's a tasty game. And Scotland would play Mexico. As you just said, they won't be looking forward to that one too much. And obviously, potentially, the winners of that could play England. So we could have an England-Scotland game at some point.
Yeah.
Any surprises there?
Not really, no. To be honest, the last 2 groups, B and C, I don't think there was really many shocks. To be honest, I think we predicted those pretty much bang on, especially Group C. The only possible way I feel like we could have got that wrong is if Morocco finished top and maybe Brazil second. That's the only way I could have seen that going any other way. I couldn't see Scotland getting in the top two. Couldn't see Qatar really getting third. So yeah, I mean, yes, pretty much exactly what we expected, to be honest. Sadly, no kind of surprises there.
Andy, have you seen much of the World Cup and any of those sides surprise you?
No, I mean, and in the first two groups you mentioned, if your team draws any of those first three in those first two groups, you would be quite happy, because there's nothing really to set the world alight. And Brazil and Morocco, dangerous. Scotland, less so. All the Scots will become Australian supporters, I think, won't they? Because Paraguay are in the running for one of the third places. Yeah. So the Scots will be hoping that Australia do them a favour there.
Indeed. So Group D, USA on currently 6 points, won both games. Australia second on 3 points. Paraguay then also on 3 points, third. And Turkey, no points, which surprised me, actually. So on Saturday, Paraguay play Australia and Turkey play USA. Now, I expect USA to probably beat Turkey, I have to say. They have been disappointed. But yeah, anything could happen with that. So as it stands, USA will play Bosnia, Australia would play Iran, and Paraguay would play Germany. Finn, comments on that one?
Yeah.
Obviously, Justin will be happy where they are at the moment-ish.
Yeah, he will be, yeah. But, I mean, other than Turkey, it's pretty much and Paraguay, it's kind of how I saw it going. But, I'm not necessarily surprised that Paraguay are doing pretty well. It's kind of similar kind of area to where they are, obviously South America. But I'm surprised by Turkey, to be honest, massively surprised. And to be honest, in the game, I don't even think they were really that unlucky. I thought they actually played poorly in them. They didn't really look that good. And to lose two out of two, and to be honest, I probably could see them losing their last one as well. So yeah, it's every chance that they go 0 wins, 0 draws, 3 losses, which is never good. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by US. I thought they'd top the group. I think they've got some pretty good players in there, and obviously being the home nation, you've seen what it's kind of done for Mexico, and even Canada.
They've all pretty much done well, haven't they? Yeah. The home nations.
So, and I'm not particularly surprised. I think they are probably the cut above the Australia, Paraguay, and Turkey.
Yeah.
Australia, I mean, after the first game, like I was surprised, but they've done well to be fair to them. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the Paraguay game, because I could see that going either way, to be honest.
It's another group that you just don't think there's anyone there that's going to do anything. Sorry, Justin, but there's none of those teams that have actually shone a light saying that we're going to at least reach the semi-finals.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do agree with you there. Well, Group E, a team that may well reach the semi-finals, and we said in the last podcast, they always seem to do it, is Germany on 6 points top. Ivory Coast 3 points, then Ecuador on 1 point, and Curacao, their first World Cup, 1 point. They have managed to grab a point. Now, tonight, I think they played, didn't they? Curacao play Ivory Coast and Ecuador play Germany. Germany obviously spanked them 7-1. And Ivory Coast you would expect to go through. That's quite a tough group there, Andy.
Yeah, the Curacao I think have done okay. It's a group that Germany must have been well happy in being in, really, isn't it? None of those clubs, none. But it's surprising, now with the worldwide appeal of the Premiership. There's names that crop up in these teams that you're familiar with, and you think, wow, Semenyo is playing for them and whatever, and so they all stand a little bit of a chance, but not to go much further than the next round.
Yeah, indeed. Well, the next group is actually, let's just give you what could happen. So as it stands, Germany will play Paraguay. You'd fancy the Germans there. and Ivory Coast would play Norway. Now we'll come on to them in a moment, but let's have a look at Group F. So that will be Saturday early hours. Japan will play Sweden, Tunisia will play Netherlands. This is a very open group with many variables. So at the moment, Netherlands top on 4 points, then Japan on 4 points, who I've been really impressed with. Sweden on 3 points, and obviously Tunisia, no points. But, depending on results, a lot could happen there. Netherlands obviously could I don't know. I mean, they're playing Tunisia. Would they rest a couple of players, knowing that a draw is more than enough? They're pretty much through, which then could open the door for Japan to win the group or Sweden to win the group. So any of those three are going to somehow finish winners, and then 2 and 3. I think all three are obviously going to go through. But yeah, many variables with that one, Andy.
Yeah, as for resting players, I don't agree. Any manager worth their salt should actually do that. Maybe if the game's going your way after 60 minutes, you change around. But you filled your favoured side right from the start, and the Netherlands should wipe the floor with Tunisia, and Japan. To coin a phrase, are looking quite tidy, aren't they? So.
Yeah.
They've impressed, and they're perhaps a surprise, I would have thought, of this tournament in terms of the actual team of that stature having the ability to go a bit further in this competition than you might ordinarily expect.
Well, as it stands, I mean, listen to this. This is tasty. Netherlands would play Morocco, Japan would play Brazil, and Sweden would play France. That's 3 really good games there.
Yeah, and although Sweden haven't done a great deal, and I think France, as you mentioned, we might come on to, probably most people's favourites. But yeah, some proper World Cup ties there.
Well, we've lost Finn. He's having trouble trying to get back. So I've got you, Andy. So we're going to get through this. So Group G, currently Egypt on 4 points, Iran 2 points, managed to get 2 draws, Belgium on 2 and New Zealand on 1. Now, the remaining fixtures, Egypt play Iran, New Zealand versus Belgium. As it stands, Belgium will be out. Now, we had Frank Musa on for the last one. I don't think Frank will be too happy at the moment, looking at that.
No, I mean, they've been awful, really, haven't they? They should squeak through because of they're playing New Zealand to probably one of the poorest ranked teams in the whole competition. But they won't do much beyond that. I mean, they have the players that are fantastic in Trossard and De Bruyne, etc. So they should always do so much, but they're a bit like that. Germany always do well and flatter to see, but Belgium always disappoint. And I think you're going to get the same situation there. They'll qualify, and Egypt, who must be perhaps the best of sort of the African nations. You've got Salah there. Is it Mamouche?
Yeah, that's Mamouche as well. Yeah.
Again, some quality people there, and the fixer at the back, whose name escapes me. They've got some good players. So I think anyone would not want to draw Egypt in the next round. There will be easier teams to play, like Sweden perhaps, than Egypt.
Well, it could potentially be South Korea for Egypt next, and as it stands, Iran would play Australia. You wouldn't have picked that one out.
No.
Moving on to Group H, currently top, Spain 4 points, no surprise. Uruguay 2 points. Cape Verde 2 points. Saudi Arabia 1 point. Now we've got Cape Verde have got to play Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay have got to play Spain. Could the unthinkable happen? Cape Verde end up top of the group. I mean, it may well be that England will play Cape Verde next, which we'll come on to. I think that one is a bit of a banana skin for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cape Verde, I mean, they got that brilliant draw with Spain. They've then gone on to get another draw with Uruguay. And yeah, listen, what a great World Cup they're having.
Yeah, and you can quite see, Cape Verde winning against Saudi Arabia, so they will probably finish second. You will think Spain will finish off Uruguay, and Uruguay will be out, and be a few ructions there for others, and that's probably if you're thinking of if you're a Scottish fan, then that's what you want. You want a few third place teams on 2 points, and the same in the previous group. You want perhaps Iran to finish in third place with 2 points. So Scotland will be looking at those two groups quite closely. But Cape Verde, yeah, I mean, and that keeper, is he 41 years old? Is that
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're without a keeper now, aren't we? So maybe we should be casting our eyes to Cape Verde.
Oliver Gage, if you're listening, you know where to look.
Tempting to the Essex Riviera. Why not? Good bit of PR there, Justin, if you want. Yeah.
Well, is it? Who is it? Braintree's got a New Zealand player, haven't they, in the World Cup? So maybe Southend can get a Cape Verde player in the World Cup.
Why not?
You never know. Not likely to happen, but yeah. So let's see. As it stands, like I say, there's so many variables. This will probably all change. As it stands, Spain would play Austria. Uruguay would play Argentina. I would fancy a few bookings in that game, that's for sure. And Cape Verde, as we mentioned, will play England, which we'll come to. Now, groups we haven't yet looked at is I, J, K and L. Starting with Group I, France currently on 6 points, Norway on 6 points, Senegal third, no points, Iraq, no points. Now, France, obviously winners in 98 and 2018 and runners-up last time round. Mbappe looking very, very good again. And for Norway, Erling Haaland again looking very, very good. Both of those two teams, they look a handful, don't they?
Yeah, France got to be the favourites for the whole competition by some distance. I would have thought much better than Brazil or Spain. They really have impressed and look as though they're only in second or third gear for large parts of the games. Norway kind of being everyone's favourites now, aren't they? Really, in terms of the fans' favourites, because they've got such a great fan back in themselves. We all love. The sort of the Icelandic chant that went in one of the Euros not so long ago.
Yeah.
Norway have now got their rowing boats on.
Rowing,
and it's catchy, isn't it? It's something that stirs you. It's a bit like some of the players we've had. If you've got players that can fist pump and do it, then that stirs the fans and gets everyone going. And Norway have done that, and all power to them. They are punching a little, whilst they've got a superstar in Haaland, they are punching a little bit above their weight.
Well, they've got a golden generation, I've got to say, of players. And Antonio Nusa as well is a very, very good player.
So
very well.
Yeah, I think that they're good, and that they'll again another group. If you're going back to Scotland, because that's where perhaps a lot of interest lies for what they're watching for. You would hope that the other two teams. So you say France are playing.
Yeah, so France and Norway playing tomorrow evening. But really looking forward to that game.
Yeah. So I mean, you would. Yeah, so you would hope that that whoever plays the third place team might not achieve enough in that group as well.
Yeah, so ideally a draw. I think Scotland will want from that.
Yeah.
But as it stands, France would play Sweden. And Norway would play Ivory Coast. Yeah, two very, very good teams, I think, to watch out for. Moving on to Group J, a team everyone knows so well. Argentina, top with 6 points. Austria on 3 points. Then Algeria, 3 points. And Jordan, no points. As it stands, Argentina have still got to play Jordan. You would expect a clean sweep from Argentina there. And Algeria and Austria. Obviously, winners in 1986. I'm sure I remember it well, Andy. And also the current holders. Messi on 5 goals currently. Can Argentina do it again?
They've got to get at least to the semis, haven't they? I mean, this is Messi's swan song. He's a fantastic player, and so's the guy in the following group that we'll mention in a minute. They could quite easily do it, but for the rest of them, they're just making up the numbers in that group, aren't they? You would think that Austria would sneak a win. Is it they're playing Algeria? Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, does Scotland a favour there? Worsens Algeria's Algeria's goal difference. So yeah, Argentina look good.
Well, you mentioned that, teams have got players in the Premier League throughout. I mean, you're looking at that Argentina team. Obviously, Emiliano Martinez, the keeper. Christian Romero, currently at Tottenham. Martinez, Man U. They got Sensei. He's now moved to Tottenham from Bournemouth. McAllister, Liverpool. Enzo Fernandez. So, there's a number of players. And there's also other players like Nico Paz, Julian Alvarez, who was previously at Man City. And Lautaro Martinez at Milan. So, yeah, strength throughout that squad. I agree with you. I think they're going to be there or thereabouts for this World Cup.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think they're everyone's favoured nation for historical reasons, but
yeah, as we remember well.
Yeah. So you can hark back to the early '80s or the mid '80s on the pitch. So, but yeah, they're a class act.
Yeah. So as we mentioned earlier, as it stands, Argentina will play Uruguay. That would be tasty. Austria, Spain, and Algeria would play Switzerland, but anything could happen. Group K, so currently top, Colombia 6 points, Portugal 4 points, Congo got themselves a point, and Uzbekistan, no surprise, no points. Now, to play Congo versus Uzbekistan, I'm sure you'll be setting the alarm clock for that one, Andy.
Yeah,
and then Portugal versus Colombia. We've got a guy called Ronaldo, got himself a couple of goals.
And it was interesting when the game the other night, the whole team seemed to be, determined to give him his hat trick, which I think Adam did it. But he's just a great player, and it seems, despite some idiosyncrasies, he's a good guy as well. He puts himself out to help kids and recognises that, and is a great ambassador for the game. So this is his swan song, perhaps more than Messi's. Have they got it? I don't think so. Colombia, surprise, but they almost snuck through without anyone realising they're in the World Cup. But they're sort of decent.
Well,
but
they've got Luis Diaz, haven't they? Who was at Liverpool, now at Bayern Munich. They've got some decent players. James Rodriguez, remember him?
Yeah.
Great volley, I think it was the last World Cup.
Yeah, but they're not a team that you would fear necessarily.
No.
So Portugal, again, nice. They might get through and give Ronaldo a little bit more time playing at that level. Just an okay group, and Congo. And I mean, if Congo beat Uzbekistan and therefore got into the next round, I mean, that would be quite something, wouldn't it? So,
yeah, it would.
Quite amazing.
So as it stands, Colombia would play Croatia, Portugal would play Ghana. Moving on then to the last group, last but not least, Group L. Currently on top, 4 points, England. Then Ghana with 4 points second. Croatia third with 3 points. Panama, no surprise, on no points. Let's hear from the Southend FA Trophy winning players from last year on their England predictions.
Quarterfinals. Semis. All the way. Semi-final. Final. You get back in and collapse. Quarterfinals, unfortunately. I'd like to say the final, but realistically, the way they've been going recently, quarters.
How far will England go? England will reach the semis or the final. The semis or final.
Yeah, they'll win that. Confident, very confident. Hopefully all the way, to be fair. Yeah, they're one of the teams was caught in, so yeah, that's good. All the way. Judging by the Japan score, I think squad-wise we've got a good squad, but togetherness and cohesion. So on that, normally they do well in the pre-World Cup, so they might do the reverse. Final.
Well, we haven't talked about England yet on the podcast. I love the optimism of Jack Bridge, Sam Austin and Ollie Coker. I think they're all a bit delusional. I'm going quarterfinals at best as well. As it stands, if we could be playing Cape Verde, which could be another frustrating game, Andy, like Ghana, who will no doubt play a low block against us. Looking at what they did to Spain and looking how we kind of couldn't break down that Ghana team, it's just, to me, it's just going to be another frustrating game. Well, I think we would get through it maybe 1-0, but yeah, if that was the case, I'm not looking forward to it. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, it was I met another fellow Southend fan down in Swanage for the England game against Ghana, and we had a poor night in the pub, and
Yeah,
it was just
I did.
yeah, it was not great, was it? It was back to reality in many ways. It was back to sort of some of the negative tactics that the previous manager seemed to enjoy working on. And you just couldn't work out why they weren't pressing more, they weren't trying things. It was obvious that Ghana weren't going to really move forward too much. So why not try a few things rather than just that safety first approach of Southgate? And I was totally surprised that happened. And so you got to think that the optimism in me says that they'll learn from that, and that they won't do that same mistake again. Panama will do at the weekend. They'll see what success Ghana had, and just they'll think, well, we're not going to go anywhere in this World Cup. We'll just have a bit of fun and try and pack the defence probably. So they'll try and do the same. So it'll be interesting to see if we can just go for it properly. And we've got the players to unlock it. It's just. But you just got to try. And if you don't try, if you continually pass the ball around the midfield, and we've seen a little bit of that in the past, haven't we, at Roots Hall, then you're not actually going to go too far. So they've got to learn. They've got to break that mould. And if they do that, then, I'd like whatever Jack Bridge is drinking, but we won't quite get there. We should progress to the quarters at least. But
this is what Thomas Tuchel had to say on his squad selection.
I will pick the worst team, and Germany will win the World Cup.
Yeah, that's his master plan, I think. Listen, joking aside, there are some talking points, I think, with this squad. I was surprised with some of them. Just looking at them, I think one of our problems, as I said, was trying to break down a team that has a low block. And I just wonder, have we got enough players to do that? Now, last time around in Euro 24, Southgate left out Maguire and Henderson. So it was no surprise to me that Maguire was left out this time. It was a surprise that he picked Henderson, I must say, over Adam Wharton, though, who at 22, I thought he had a great season at Palace. So there's that one. There's also Jed Spence over Trent Alexander-Arnold. Again, that one was a surprise to me because, for me, Alexander-Arnold has got a good delivery into the box. And, for me, there's two there. Another two I'll come on to. He left out Palmer and Foden, who admittedly didn't probably have the best seasons.
No,
they would agree. But are they players that could maybe unlock a pass? And again, Morgan Gibbs-White, who did have a good season, left out. Morgan Rogers has come in. So, a few surprises there, maybe.
Yeah, but I tend to think that, you have to go with form. And so people like Palmer and Foden, unfortunately, didn't do it. So they didn't deserve to get on the plane. But Gibbs-White, I would argue, I would certainly agree with, should have been there. But there's still lots of talent in that team to unlock defences. People like Saka, they can run past you and run into you. And what I have been impressed with, though, is in this tournament is the rule changes that somehow seem to have brought out some decent fluidity to the games, in that the ball's always in play. It seems there's no peeing about with time wasting because they can't do it, and it's kind of worked. No one's feigning injury too much. And so there's always action, and people have just got to move.
Yeah, positive.
There's no you've got to use your subs because the players will run hard for those 90 minutes otherwise. So you keep bringing on fresh legs, keep people that can unlock defences, and just keep trying because you'll get there in the end, or you'll get a decision that will go your way. So just go for it. There's no point in sitting back at all.
No. Now, a lot has been made of the hydration breaks, which, I'm not a big fan of, I have to say. But looking at it, it could work to our advantage in some ways because, what we have seen with the hydration breaks is that sometimes when teams have had momentum, it's kind of broken up that momentum. Now, if we progress to the latter stages, and we face a team like Germany or Brazil or France, who may be building up a bit of momentum against us, it might just break that up. And I think when you've got a very good tactician like Tuchel, may he take advantage, which some coaches have done, have taken advantage of this hydration break to just have a look at it and tweak maybe some of your tactics. So it could actually work for us.
Yeah. No, I think they've been a positive and they've helped. As I said, the fluidity of the game in many ways. Yes, you get that sort of slightly annoying break for 3 minutes, which everyone traditionally boos, don't they, in the crowd? But it has meant that players haven't needed to go down to try and get some messages across into the team through some feigned injury break because they know that they've got this slot. And so I think it has actually helped the game. So in the World Cup, then it's fine, and by and large the temperatures, you kind of need to get on a little bit more liquid, don't you, in what they're playing at. It was the fast the other day when it was chucking it down the rain and they all came off.
Yeah.
Having already just had a 3-minute injury break, you will get oddities like that. But overall, I think it's been a positive, and I've been quite impressed by the rule changes. FIFA don't always get it right.
No,
quite often they don't. And every time a picture of their head honcho comes on board, you kind of wince a bit, don't you? But by and large, what they've done here is actually been successful.
Well, let's hope that will continue into next season in terms of, as you said, the fluidity of the game. I remember, I'm sure you remember when we played Boreham a few years ago, I think it was something like a total of 56 minutes, the ball was in play or something like that. So hopefully it will cut out a lot of that. And certainly what drove me nuts for the last couple of years is goalkeepers wasting time. Hopefully that will cut out as well. So, I agree, some positive changes. But listen, I'm sure you'll remember well, Euro 96. We had that brilliant song, 3 lines. Now, I remember it well because I was working at Wembley, managed to get to all the England games and got.
I was at that game as well, the night the semi-final.
I'll never forget that game. It was some game. But going back then, I remember the song and everyone got into the song, and I remember thinking, blimey, 30 years of hurt. That really is a long time.
Yeah.
Andy, here we are. We're now 60 years of hurt. How the bloody hell have we got here? When are we actually going to win the trophy?
Yeah, and singing 100 Years of Hurt, I don't think I'll be doing. But who knows? We kind of missed a chance a bit in the Euros, didn't we? And it's going to be 64, isn't it? But you just have to hope that they just go for it, and if they go for it, they might stand a chance.
Yeah.
Fantastic song, and 60 years still does ring with it, doesn't it? It kind of works with the lyrics. 64 doesn't span quite so well, so we've got to try and stop.
Well, we've got Panama on Saturday, and Croatia obviously playing Ghana. How can you see that going? Now, you said you wouldn't rest players, but I just wonder if you might rest Kane, give Tony a go. I think Kane got a bit of a knock, didn't he, the last game? And he's come out and since said he couldn't get his legs going. I would expect us to freshen up, make a couple of changes.
Yeah, if people aren't fully fit, then they shouldn't play. And that's what happened in '66, didn't it? When Jeff Hurst came in
true.
for Greavesy, and because Greavesy was injured in the game against France. So if Kane's injured, then he's out, and someone else gets their chance, and then they hopefully take it. You got one or two players up there, haven't you? You got Watkins could come in.
Yeah.
So why not? But field your strongest team for the first 60 minutes. Go for it, and freshen up. You have to, and go for it. I'm sure Panama will park the bus. They'll see what success the Ghanaians had, and believe that they can do something similar, and maybe push one on the break. But and if we get one, then they could quite easily fold because their World Cup's ended.
Well, I remember last time we played Panama World Cup, I think we beat them 6-1. I do remember Kane got a hat-trick, I think 2 penalties if I recall, and I think that the hat-trick goal was cannoned off his backside, actually, from someone else's shot. So he was a bit fortunate. It ended up with a golden boot, scoring from his backside a couple of penalties. But yeah, I think it'll be, like you say, a different Panama team. I expect us to win that convincingly. Whether it be 6, I don't know. But yeah, that's going to be a game we need to go and get the points, obviously, and see who we get in the next round. So, as it stands, England will play Cape Verde. We've said Ghana could well go through and play Portugal and Croatia, Colombia. What have been the talking points for you so far for this World Cup, Andy?
Good atmospheres, it seems. The Americans love them or loathe them. They do know how to put on a good show, don't they? And you always get amazed as to how people can afford to go to these things that they do somehow, because the prices are just stupid. My ticket for Euro '96 was 50 quid, and I thought that was a phenomenal price to pay. But these people are having to fund something amazing. So a great atmosphere, and you get the mass chanting. The Scots make a fantastic effort, don't they? As always. And so far, so have our guys. It seems to have been trouble-free in a country which is full of trials and tribulations. So long may it stay that way. So I think the atmosphere has been good. The play has been okay. Some teams, I think, we'll see better play coming forward because teams like France won't be playing within themselves. They'll come out and really show what they can do. You've had some nice little stories. You've had, in the past it was always maybe the Roger Miller of or whatever.
Yeah, great memories.
But now you've got the Cape Verde goalkeeper who we should sign. So there's always players like that come through. But there's a lot of players out there who are now familiar to us. As there's not so many surprises, are there? Because we know of the Semenyos, etc., that turn out. So a decent World Cup. I quite enjoyed the time of the year the previous one was played at. Sitting inside on a cold day, and now it's a bit warm out there, isn't it? Really, but it's been a good World Cup so far.
Well, I wonder if the North Bank can get the rowing going from the Norwegian. I love that. I mean, that looks so. I've seen various clips of them doing it on the subways in New York and filling Times Square, and it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Like you said, it was the Icelandic, chant last time, and now the Norwegians seem to be setting the tone. And I'm sure we've had a few rowing boats around Leon Sea, so it wouldn't be. I'm sure they have,
but I think you need to do it en masse to be impressive, and that requires a little bit of practice and actually players to take their part as well. You saw after the last game, Haaland encouraging the team to get on board and do it, and that's what I love to see. You get players that react to the crowd, and as I said in the past, we've had them at Southend. You've had the Dave Worthingtons, the Adam Barretts, etc., that will fist pump a bit and get the crowd going, and you need characters like that at whatever level, and so what Norway have done has been fantastic.
Yeah, well, Kieran Dyer, get practicing. And we'll see you against West Ham, hopefully. Listen, Andy, thanks so much for joining us. We've lost Finn tonight, unfortunately. But we'll be back on Saturday, the 4th of July, where hopefully England will be progressing in the knockouts. And we'll be sharing our top 5 England moments. I'm sure yours will be very similar to some of mine, Andy. And a guest to be announced. Very quickly, what probably your best couple of England moments of all time?
Cool. Well, the personal ones I've seen was I was at the England-Scotland game in '77, where I think my dad and myself were the only people, apart from the drunken Scots who were too comatose to move on the pitch. The rest went on the pitch. We were standing on the terrace with all the drink. That was an amazing moment. Looking back on it, it was quite weird at the time. The Euro '96 was fantastic, but watching. There have been quite few, haven't there? England moments. I mean, I remember rushing out of a geography exam in '82 down in Plymouth, which was a 3-hour exam, and the England against France kicked off 2 hours into the exam, and at 1 hour 55 minutes, everyone, apart from a few ladies, rushed out of the exam, having rushed through their paper to witness the early goal that we scored in that game. That was quite a special
Brian
moment.
Robson, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So, and there's little things. It's personal things that happen to you, I think, that make the moment rather than the overall thing. I was, despite the rumours, too young to actually remember too much about '66 and not really set 1970 apart from collecting SO coins, because Dad said that was a good thing to do. So, and it was. But it's what happens. It's what happens to you if you go down the pub and you have a special time with, the atmosphere is great. And been to a pub where we've had England have played Scotland before in London, and there's been Scots there, English there, and a line of police down the middle to keep everyone quiet. And the atmosphere was just fantastic. And you can get moments like that. You don't have to be at the game to enjoy it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for joining us. Good luck with the book, and also the projects coming up. We look forward to hearing more news soon. So guys, do have a listen out for that. And what's left to say? Up the Three Lions.
Yeah, and up the Shrimpers.
And up the Shrimpers.